we have with us Mr. Manish Kumar, Vice Chairman, Moscow Chamber of Commerce, Indian Commission, and President Soltex Group with us. And we are going to talk about India-Russia collaboration, where we are planning to achieve a target of $100 billion in annual bilateral trade by 2030. Given the current significance imbalance heavily favoring Russia, whereas imports is around 63.8 billion, and the Indian export is around 4.9 billion. So how do we see we achieving the target, Manish ji?
Thank you very much, Prasanji, having me here. Sir, it is a long-term question. Earlier, we used to think about how we will achieve 20 billion, how we will achieve 30 billion. But the geopolitical scenario changed immediately, and now we are looking towards the 100 billion. But again, the disbalance is the problem because India export only 5 billion. So here, now your question coming to how we will achieve the 100 billion. We can achieve 100 billion only when the Indian business fraternity, they will be proactive. They will be look towards those areas because the recent delegation of Mr. Vladimir Putin coming with the 9 ministers, it shows their, the engagement with the Indian economy. Now it is our turn. It is our business has to think whether they are afraid of some other sanction or they can engage themselves with the Russia. Unless business fraternity will not be proactive, it is very difficult to achieve this target because this target again increase the oil purchase, it will increase, but this is not in our favor. So we have to increase the export of Indian product. Let it be chemical, organic chemical, pigment, because those are the area where India is strong. And obviously textile, technical textile, food product, processed food. There are so many areas where India can get into and increase. And not only the product, services. This is what we have to talk. Services of the, let's say, manpower, IT. There are so many different service areas also increasing for the Indian top professionals. So I think if we look towards all these areas, then only we can increase and get it to the 100 billion turnover.
How India and Russia can work together on crude oil, petrochemical and chemical sectors, keeping in view the US sanction on Russian crude oil. So there is some information floating around that US has now lowered or toned down the sanction part of it. That's today's news.
Now, this is a political will, and this is what our leadership is showing that we have to take the nation interest first. And we are with the 1.5 billion people, and energy security is very, very important for us. So I understand the geopolitical situation, but I think India, and I think it's a news also floating. Mr. Putin already told if America can buy oil from us, why not India? Or if altogether Europe is buying more oil, how much India is buying? So it is very discriminate that they are putting pressure on us. They are showing the tariff barrier they are putting so that we don't do business with America as much we were doing. So oil and gas and petrochemical sector, which I earlier also explained, there is a lot many opportunities. I don't think that India should cut down the oil import from Russia. But not only we have to depend upon the oil. There are so many industries going nearby. There are so many other product areas, lubricant, as I was telling you, base oil. And there are so many things where Indian company can engage with Russia.
So one question arises, sir, why it took so much time for this to happen? Because India and Russia have been friends for a long time. And it used to be only defense and nuclear earlier.
I will try to answer this question. It's a good question because why? Because we are good friends, but we were not doing business. Russian people, they like India, India's approach, India's global position in the world, and how India is on a different platform looking towards the thing. So ideologically, yes, everything is okay. But when it comes to the business-wise, I think they don't like the so far why it has not happened. Because the Indian companies' approach doing business in Russia was not as per their norms, as per their work culture. That's why Indian companies are quite lagging behind. Because if American, European, all top companies, mid-sized companies, they were so happy doing business with Russia, and why Indian were not doing. So you have to get into that culture.
Manishji, if you can talk about how can chemical fraternity benefit from this Russian collaboration and
Well,
areas where it can benefit.
sir, chemical fraternity, they have to think because we all know that Russia is very rich in petrochemicals because they have the basic raw material, crude, ethylene, gas. So there are so many derivatives, so many molecules which Indian companies can collaborate with Russia. So far, the only successful project which we know that is a Sibur's joint venture with the Reliance for the EPDM. But there are many areas where, let's say, in the lubricant area, let's say in the Russia can supply for the Indian refineries who are making the polymers, some hexane one, these kind of molecules, these kind of chemicals, which can, at a much better and cheaper price, they can negotiate. Because having the sanction, Russia's exposure to the European and other countries has decreased. So this is the time where Indian chemical fraternity can engage more deeply with the Russian companies. Maybe they can do something in Russia, doing some joint venture, some project, or maybe some basic raw material. They can get it in India, they can process it here, and they can sell it to Indian market as well as the export market. For an example, I can name you a few, let's say phenol, malic anhydride, methyl adenylene, glycerin and butanol, MEA, methyl ethyl ketone. There are a lot many chemicals. I'm just naming few that Indian company can source from Russia. And for the pharma also, they have some bulk drug also. Let's say HS, hydroamine sulfide. So there are many areas where Indian company can do the collaboration with Russia.
So what is stopping these companies, whether chemical or pharma or petrochemical companies, going in a big way and embracing Russian companies?
Uh, I think some lack of information. That is first. Lack of, the media has created like, Russia is war torn, Russia is under sanction, how we can work, how the logistic is working, how the finance is working. But just I can tell your viewer that everything is in place. And at least after this visit, you should be more aware that, 3, 4 Russian top banks are here in India, trade happening directly in ruble rupees. So there's no need of going through SWIFT or dollar. Logistic is working from Indian port to Russian port, vice versa, 20 days deliveries there. From the Black Sea port to Indian main port, Nava Seva, Mundra, regular services are there. So if logistic is there, finance is there, insurance, we have a company who can do the full end-to-end insurance. So I don't think any problem as for the logistic and finance wise, there is nothing. All the Indian companies has to think whether they are ready to engage themselves, whether they are afraid of some sanction, and there is not that matter of sanction because China is working, Turkey is working. Why not India?
Following the MOU for joint ventures in the fertilizer sector, what are the specific commitments and timelines for setting up fertilizer production units in Russia by Indian companies to ensure a stable long-term supply to India?
Well, recent MOU and the declaration already shows that this big company, in the Russian company, is ready to join hand with the Indian company. So obviously, this is going to happen. I think it will take 1 to 2 years by the time it will come on the real ground because it needs a lot of assessment. But there are some more projects because I have been offered by some of the regional ministers. In region also, there are some fertilizer plant where they are looking for the Indian investor, and they are clearly telling why we are looking for the Indian investor because we don't want to give everything to Chinese. And Indian companies should come and invest in Russia and take the offtake from here because India is starving for the fertilizer, for the NPK, for urea, and all those fertilizer. So opportunities are there. If anybody want to do invest, we are ready to connect with the right people.
On the sustainable fuel part of it, how can India and Russia work on hydrogen technologies? Because that's one of the hottest area presently in the world, and both can together then give the world a sustainable fuel in the future. Your comments.
Now, thank you very much. Obviously, world is moving towards that because we need a green technology, we need a green hydrogen, we have to cut down the carbon footprint, and now very popular topic is the green hydrogen because whoever the country produce hydrogen, the source should be the green. And Russia having that much technological know-how, they have quite good technology in a green hydrogen also. And there are so many areas where Russian technology can help India to achieve that target. And together, I think we can cut down the time. We cut down that R&D process and engaging with those Russian companies who are really advanced in this technology makes sense. Makes sense.
How can Indian ports and shipping leverage the memorandum of understanding signed between the Ministry of Ports, Shipping and Waterways of the Republic of India and the Maritime Board of the Russian Federation?
Uh, if you all aware how many seas across the Russia, and Russian shipbuilding is quite strong. They have the for their uh, different areas, so many shipbuilding units they are making. And earlier we bought from Russia, Gorshkov and all other ships. So they do have certain knowledge base, certain technology, which obviously will help India to come up with the new shipbuilding. And now the government initiative to open more more ports infrastructure, and shipbuilding is also a very strategic area. And it is but obvious having the partnership with Russian company. They have signed already MOU. They are ready to share their knowledge base. So it's always win-win position, win-win situation for the India and Russia as well.
How do you see the agreement of cooperation between University of Bombay and Lomonosov Moscow State University and joint stock company management company of Russian Direct Investment Fund? How will this help the two countries?
RDIF is the one of the biggest sovereign fund of Russia, and the one who has invested for the Sputnik vaccine also. And it is, highly funded, and they have the right fundamentals, and they are ready to engage with Indian companies, do the investment. So I think this is going to be very beneficial because Lomonosov University has a very huge scientific knowledge base. Because from the long time, there are so many research papers, there are so many in a carbon fiber, in molecules, in the for the technical textile, they have lot many new ideas, new invention, new patents. And collaboration of this kind on institutional level is always beneficial. But in my opinion, that is one is not enough. There are many. There are in the petrochemical sector. There are different sector in a defense sector. There are so many composite material, uh, metallurgical areas. So these areas also we needed this kind of institutional collaboration. Institutional collaboration.
Labor shortages are there in Russia. How can India help in utilizing these opportunities and areas where the shortages are?
Earlier, I already mentioned that service industry. India is good in service export also, and India is one of the biggest hub of going to be biggest hub also with the some initiative of Skill India, skilled labor. And Russia, in during this 2 day summit which finished yesterday, Russia has eased out the norm of migration. Earlier, it was a very strict policy that all the migrants they should know the Russian language. There was a basic tough norms of the Russian language. There was knowledge of Russian history. So there is no logic labor who is coming for 1 year or 2 year contract knowing the Russian history. It is not. So now they have eased out those norms. They have eased out for the Indian citizen, and there was earlier quota system. So they have increased the quota system. I think some more declaration will come on the ground. And even our group of company, I already mentioned yesterday, day before yesterday in some platform that we have created a joint venture with the Russian Institute. We will be training Indian professional, let's say for the welder with the Russian norms, Russian curriculum, Russian, the system on the Russian machine. We are going to import the Russian welding machine, which they will use to work there, be familiarized with those machines, and then after the full training, getting the certificate and get the employment there. And this is we are planning for the robotics also, for the drone, civil drone, and many areas where Russia required this professional, and we have to train here in India, then to send it. So a lot many opportunities for the Indian skilled manpower for Russia.
So, in a nutshell, it's a win-win for both Russia and India. We need to collaborate more. We need to communicate more. And as and when things move, I think those activities will be seen on the ground, which will benefit both India and Russia at the same time, and also help in eliminating the fiscal deficit so that we can achieve the numbers of US dollar 100 billion by 2030. Thank you,
For
Manish,
sure.
for talking to Indian Chemical News and Indian Pharma Post.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Prasanji.